Welcome to an edition of Golden Black Live Friday. Big day tonight, big night tonight, I should say, as Purdue takes on Indiana and Mackey Arena, 8 o'clock. Always a special event as the Boilermakers will try to rebound from their difficult loss, challenging loss to Michigan on Tuesday, and also maybe have a little bit of revenge for what Indiana did to Purdue in Bloomington back on January 27th. Want to thank our not only our advertisers, State Farm agent Trent Johnson at trentismyagent.com, and Triple X on the hill, but on the level of Purdue tradition since 1929, and our good friends at WLFI, TJ, Chris, Steve, all of you for putting this together. Today's show will be a good one. A lot of Purdue, Indiana talk, not surprisingly. Chris Kramer will join us in addition to Rob Blackman. And then also Chris Kramer, of course, doesn't need an introduction to Purdue basketball fans, but he played for the Boilermakers from 2007 to 2010, Defensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten, and a big reason why Purdue turned its program around under Coach Matt Painter in the early days. And of course, Rob Blackman, the longtime voice of Purdue men's basketball, will be inducted into one Indiana Sportscaster of the Year in 2025, and we'll talk about that and a lot more. And then Don Fisher, the voice of Indiana basketball and football, legendary broadcaster, has a lot invested in the Purdue-Indiana relationship, great relationships with not only Rob Blackman, but Larry Clisby, and we'll look forward to getting his perspective as well. So without further ado, we'll bring you Chris Kramer, and make sure you enjoy this show. Alan Karpik here with Chris Kramer, a guy that needs no introduction to Purdue basketball fans. I don't know, you're too young to be a legend, but 2007 to 2010 defensive stalwart, member of Big Ten championship teams from tournament and regular season, and of course a guy that's probably as responsible as just about anybody for the turnaround in Purdue basketball under Coach Matt Painter to where this program is now. But Chris, you look at last night and the competitive guy that we all know you are, and you've got family life going on and not able to be there in person, but watching last night, on Tuesday night, I should say, as Purdue got handled pretty easily by Michigan in a lot of ways. What were your takeaways from that one?
You know, I tweeted this before the game that I thought the game was going to be won on the backboards. You know, the rebounding battle was going to be crucial. I know the offensive rebounding battle looked closer numbers-wise than it really was in terms of second chance points.
Yeah.
And so I think my first two keys were rebounding and then closing out on shooters in post-double or scramble situations. And in both of those scenarios, we got beat.
Yeah.
You know, it was 14-2 second chance points in the first half, which essentially, you know, Purdue came back and battled in the second half, but that was the ball game.
Yeah.
Too big of a hole. Michigan's too good of a team. Had it been a couple shots maybe have went down here or there, maybe things could have swayed. You know, those two Fletcher threes. If one of those goes down, maybe things get a little different. But, you know, we missed both of those. But I think those are the biggest keys that I thought in Michigan just kind of dominated in both of those situations. Their length. I thought Mara was really good. He blocked some shots, but he altered a lot. He bully balled sometimes offensively, ran the court. Like, he showed his whole skill set. And then Yaxel Lindenborg, I mean, for the video that came out and, you know, he answered the call. I mean, you know, he really did. And a lot of people might fold under that. And he came out and he played well. He hit shots, which is not his strong suit, you know, percentage-wise. But he played well. They put him on Braden. They put him on TK.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he played really well.
Yeah, he did, and seemed to from being in the arena last night, seemed to have some fun with that. Maybe it was because the Wolverines had Purdue at arm's length throughout the course of the game. He didn't overdo it, but he also was terrific. His length is, like you said, just being able to deal with Braden Smith on a couple possessions, and then running up against TKR, he can do a lot of things. And this, I think, also the thing that I know that Dusty May said post game too is they ran 8 or 9 guys out there, and it didn't seem to matter. I mean, their Michigan's bench was terrific throughout the course of the game, and Purdue had some moments. Over Meyer had some moments in the first half and some in the second half, but just too much for Purdue to handle.
Yeah, they were. You can't give a great team like that second chance opportunities. And the thing is, Purdue was in good position a lot of those times. The length just played a battle of knocking the ball out and then getting into scramble situations after those offensive rebounds and giving up threes. And then in some of those scramble situations, almost essentially unguarded threes, horse shots, if you will. And, Michigan shot those at a high rate and a high clip. And you can't do that against a great team like Michigan. They punished Purdue at every chance they got with every mistake.
What you look at this team, and you've played on teams with high expectations, especially in your junior and senior years. I mean, it's tough when you're in that environment and you're the preseason number one. And yet it's really hard to tell who is going to be the best. Purdue's still certainly a top 10, top 12 team. But when you look at that in the psyche of doing that and having gone through that a little bit yourself as a player, maybe not quite to that level in terms of preseason number one, but that's a burden to bear sometimes for basketball teams.
Yeah, but that's what you want, right? Like you want that responsibility.
Yeah.
You want that recognition of, the season you had last year, the guys you have coming back, like these are the expectations.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. It's all expectation. It's all, it doesn't matter. Coach Painter said it yesterday. That's not proven, right? What Michigan has done thus far to be number one in the country right now is proven. They've proved to be the number one team in the country thus far. And, with great expectation comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And, I can't remember the last time Purdue's lost 3 games at home in a season. Given they lost to 3 great teams, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Iowa State's a phenomenal team, especially phenomenal defensively.
Yeah.
Keaton Wagler put on an epic performance, for Illinois. And then, Michigan at this point is the best team in the country. And all those losses came in Mackey Arena. It doesn't happen that way very often. But, if you want to play for championships, you have to win some of those games.
Yeah.
And, especially those Big Ten games, you have to protect your home court. Yeah. And, now, we're playing for seeding in the NCAA tournament and the Big Ten tournament. But, now we have to turn the page, and that's what we're playing for now. We're not playing for a Big Ten championship anymore. But, the expectations of, people say Final Four or bust, national championship or bust, like all of that's still in front of you.
Yes.
All those goals are still attainable. But now it's what do we do between, let's say Friday against IU moving forward until whenever the last game is, hopefully April 9th or whatever it is, playing for a national championship in Indianapolis. What are we going to do between now and then to solidify Purdue to be one of the best teams at the end of the year? Because, everything in the middle hasn't exactly, went the way they wanted it to, but March is what ultimately matters.
Yeah, leadership is the thing that you had in from a toughness standpoint, and I'm not insinuating this group isn't that, because Braden Smith would be hard to say, and Fletcher Loyer hard to say that those guys haven't experienced a lot in the backcourt, et cetera. But that toughness quotient and being able to draw from that, when times are tough and when all of a sudden at least one goal is pretty much out the window, and that's winning a Big Ten regular season championship. Is it that, that daily practice grind of, just keeping that focus and keeping your eye on the prize of what you need to be in March and April? You outline that, but there's still that intangible thing that Purdue's got to. Do you sense that it's just not quite there yet, or hasn't been there yet? Is that your assessment as well, or do you've seen this team play throughout the course of the year? What is there something missing slightly, or is this just a function that there's so many good teams in the not only in the Big Ten but across the country?
I mean, there is a bunch of really good teams right now. And I think it's one of those situations where if you don't play your best basketball that night, you're going to lose.
Yeah.
And that's why the NCAA tournament is so great. It's a 1-game tournament every night.
Yeah.
And if you don't show up, you can get beat by anybody. As we know. And so that's what's looking forward. But between now and the NCAA tournament, the Big Ten tournament, it's how can I'll say we as Purdue, get playing the best basketball in all facets, right?
Yeah.
Rebounding, defensively, offensively. How can we play, getting quality shots every time down the court, not turning the basketball over, quality rotations, closing out to shooters, closing out to drivers differently, all those fine details that come from scouting reports and things like that. All of those things are what's going to really matter come March. It's all quick turnarounds, right? It's 1-day preps. It's, night preps before you play again in the Big Ten tournament. So all of those details, this is going to turn into a mental game, right? The physical is you going out there and playing, but can you take what you see from video and apply it to the court? If you can, you have a great opportunity to be successful. This group has played in a bunch of games. They've seen every defense known to man, especially Braden in every pick and roll situation. Honestly, what I think it comes down to offensively is making shots.
Yeah.
But getting great quality shots.
Yeah.
And then on the defensive end, the couple games prior, Nebraska, besides when, in the first half of Nebraska, flying around, closing out, that type of effort for 40 minutes, Purdue can beat a lot of people and, can get to Indianapolis for sure.
You look at that game even against Michigan, and your point is valid about Purdue got 3-point shots. They didn't get a lot of, and they got some open looks, but they got some ones that were under duress too. And that's that fine line of, yes, Purdue didn't shoot well from 3, but Michigan had something to do with that in terms of how they made, Lawyer had a couple good looks that he would like to have back, certainly. But Michigan's defense had a lot to do with that. And that's that function of getting, you can get attempts, but it's quality attempts also that's going to make the difference with a team like Purdue that can shoot it well.
Yeah. I think some of those, like the 2 shots that, Fletch airballed.
Yeah.
Those are like momentum shots, right? Yeah, if he hits those, Mackey erupts. It's going to be, the top might blow off of Mackey Arena. And then the game it's dicey now, right? Michigan has to answer, which every time Purdue made a run last night, Elliot Cadeau, LJ Kaysen, Yaxel, they made the next play.
Yeah.
Right? Teams have a lot of trouble when the crowd gets into it, especially at Mackey, of making that next play. Typically, teams fold and turn it over or take a horrible shot, and then Purdue goes again and gets another one and another one, and the games can turn just like that. Michigan showed a poise and a togetherness that not a lot of teams have done, that I've seen in Mackey Arena, both as a player and as just as a fan. So, that is credit to them. But I think, some of the shots that we took, I think, CJ had 2 threes blocked late in the second half. 2 of the shots by Fletch. It's knowing what those shots are time, score, shot clock, all those kind of situations. If you've hit a couple in a row, maybe you get a little bit more leniency to let another one fly, heat check.
Yeah.
But in some of those situations, if we could have had another possession, got a really quality shot, especially with TK just going to town on those dudes last night in the second half. We could have put a little bit more pressure and then made them make another play and another play. But it's all learning at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, if Fletch makes one of those or makes both of them, what happens, right? It's a what if.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. Has he made a bunch of those in his career? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But he didn't, and we lose, and it is what it is. You got to take the good with the bad sometimes. But were they the best shots that we could have gotten in those positions? Probably not.
Yeah. Indiana is always a special game in your playing days. It was, and it is for Purdue fans. Is this a good time, and when Purdue takes on Indiana, because you come back after an emotional game? There was a lot of hype, obviously, in the Michigan game. It didn't go as like Purdue would have liked it to have gone, and now you play your rival, someone that you owe a little something to after Indiana beat Purdue back in January. Do you subscribe to that theory? This opponent in this situation is a good thing for Purdue, and maybe to get itself back, get a little bit of that confidence back, or how do you view it?
I think it is at the right time. I think Purdue definitely has a sour taste in their mouth for, especially that first 20 minutes on Tuesday. And then really for just a lot of the performance in Bloomington, it wasn't ideal, right?
Right.
I think it comes at a great time. It can start to, get the ball rolling as we, there's only 3 home games left for these seniors, right? And, this one against, your rival, to kind of get the ball rolling as we head into this final stretch here of, 5-6 games, whatever it is. And, can we run the table here? Get playing great basketball as we go into March to the Big Ten tournament and really keep it rolling, right? Like, this is where we have to start. We fumbled right here against Michigan. We have IU, your rival. You want to kind of correct your mistakes from Bloomington, that game against Michigan, and it's definitely at the perfect time. I expect TK to be a menace, a monster again. He's playing with a tenacity, Dennis Rodman-like on the glass.
Yeah.
Just a relentlessness in attacking and going for every rebound. But the best part about TK that I've seen lately is the emotion, right? He's not getting caught up in the nonsense with the referees,
what he was doing,
or the players. No, he's just like, I'm here and I'm going to kill you. I'm going at you and I'm going to punish you every chance I get. And he's been, honestly playing phenomenal. If it's, scoring 31 or, scoring 15 but having 18 rebounds, right? He's been phenomenal. But I'm expecting those big 3 to have a really big night come Friday.
Indiana has had, obviously in game 1 back on January 27th in Bloomington, shot a lot of threes, shot them well, and hit big shots at the right time. And they certainly, the Hoosiers have used that as part of their arsenal. They don't have a great inside game, though. They've had some good play at times of late inside. But what do you expect to see from Indiana? Because they do have weapons, the Hoosiers do offensively. They can cause a lot of teams problems if you're not dialed in defensively.
I think Lamar Wilkerson's going to get his points.
Yeah.
He's going to take his shots. He's going to score his, roughly 20 points. You can kind of book that. But it's the other guys, right? It's Nick Dorn. It's Tucker DeVries. It's Sam Alexis. It's Connor Enright.
Yeah.
Those guys have been the ones kind of riding the ship for them. Lamar Wilkerson's been Lamar Wilkerson all year.
Yeah.
But when those other guys play well, IU is a completely different team than when Lamar Wilkerson is a one-man show.
Yeah.
So, I think it starts with, guarding those other guys. Can Purdue get Tucker DeVries in foul trouble? I think in Bloomington, Sam Alexis barely played, but Reed Bailey was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, Oscar Clough, TK, I think this is going to be like a personal game for them. I think Sam Alexis has kind of played more as of late than Reed Bailey, but given his success in the game in Bloomington, I could see him getting thrown in there if Sam Alexis is struggling a little bit. But I think this game is going to come down to, can Purdue guard their role players, and especially from the 3-point line.
Yeah, excellent analysis from a guy that's been there and has had. They still show it on the video screen on his little scrimmage with DJ White. Always gets Purdue fans a little juiced up. I mean, that memory. I mean, the memory of playing in that series and the guys you played with is still. And being an Indiana kid from Huntington, Indiana, it's a big deal. I mean, you got to be juiced up, and if you're Braden Smith and Fletcher, and they will be, but there's an extra little bit juice going into this game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is one of those games that, the best part about it was, I mean, we were always had a better record, I believe. Yeah. Maybe not my freshman year. But, it was – you could throw the records out the window.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally it didn't matter because it was just all-out war. And, obviously the game's called officiated differently than it was back then. So, that's not as much of a factor. But, as a player, these are the games you want, right? It's going to be an electric atmosphere again. But it's one of those things you can't get emotionally drunk, right? You can't get caught up in the excitement and the hype. You have to try to control your emotions and, get through that first TV timeout. Get your second wind, compose yourself from there, and then go out and play. Because if you lose yourself in the emotions and get emotionally drunk, then you're just going to, empty the tank really quickly, and you're going to look just completely lost and disoriented out there.
All right. Chris Kramer will be in the house come tonight to Purdue, Indiana. Who will be joining? And you got to get us quickly caught up on your family, because you're coaching, you're parenting, you're doing a lot of things that you should be doing at your age, and probably doing it. I know you're doing it well, but get us a little bit caught up to not only who's coming with you to Mackey tonight, but also what's your family life's going on and what's going on in your life these days.
Yeah, my wife will be coming with me, but yeah, I'm working, coaching my oldest daughter Sophie's upwards basketball, so that'll be drive back after the game and see if we can.
You got practice Saturday morning, I assume, or
no? We have practice. We have practice Thursday night, so then game on Saturday at 11. So we'll rush back, get a few hours sleep, and see if we can get it done and finish the year with one loss. And but yeah, man, it's kids and work, spending time with the family as much as I can. But hey, I'm blessed, man, very, very blessed.
All right. Before there was the current number 3, Braden Smith, this number 3 was as good as it gets, and Purdue fans you're too young for anybody. Everybody remembers that, and that part's fun. So we'll look forward to seeing you in Mackey Arena. It will be a special night when Purdue takes on Indiana, and it will be fun to watch Purdue down the stretch. If you didn't have a dog in the hunt, you could sit back and enjoy it. It's hard. It's hard when you're in your shoes, where this is personal, and this is your legacy and your team that you've been so involved with over the years. But Chris, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it so much.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, take care and safe travels.
Thank you.